If you really wanted Vice President Harris to accept your invitation, I guess you should have told her the funds were going to bail out the looters and rioters in Minneapolis, and she would have been here, guaranteed she would have been here.
A New York audience, President Trump at the big Al Smith dinner last night in New York City, and he was funnier than everybody. Although that Jim Gaffigan was funny. He's a professional comedian, and he was pretty funny too. But Trump had a lot of great lines. Kamala didn't show up. Why should she? The media showed up for her, as usual. The Lizard King was there, Chuck Schumer, and Kamala phoned it in. They sent a video that wasn't funny, but it's her, so how could it be? She's not known for being funny. She's not known for being smart. She's not known for being serious. She's not really known for anything good, is she? Maybe there's one guy in California that have, but we'll set that aside for now. Happy Friday to you and welcome. I'm up and getting going here in Chicago, Illinois. I'm coming to you live today from Chicago, Illinois, in the beautiful studios of WLS in Chicago. An hour earlier here in Chicago, as you might be aware, than it is in Washington D.C., from which I normally broadcast. And I'm watching the sun come up over Lake Michigan, which is one of your Great Lakes. It's one of, and they are great too. That's in case Democrats happen to be checking in right now. The Great Lakes are 5 very large lakes in the middle of the United States of America. Some of them even go up to Canada, things like that. But Lake Michigan is here. Chicago is on the southern end. It's in Illinois. Chicago, Illinois is on the southern end of Lake Michigan. And came in last night with my best girl. My best girl and I, we came into Chicago on an airplane, on a big old jet airliner, the kind that the patriarchy created, that America, we created these big airliners, fly around hundreds of people at a time, 38,000 feet at 600 miles an hour. It's pretty amazing. And flew to Chicago. It was wonderful, very nice thing. Left Ronald Reagan, Washington's Ronald Reagan National Airport, and flew in aboard United Airlines. We had United Airlines, and flew into Chicago, and it was all very nice. There's a big moon in the sky. You see this giant moon, and it was beautiful driving into the city last night, too. We landed at Chicago's O'Hare Airport, and then the people at United Airlines decided to take everyone hostage. We were on the ground for so long, just driving around, and I said, well, there might be a gate over here. Eventually, I felt sorry for the captain, for the pilot of the airplane, eventually. And but for a while, I wasn't feeling so good myself because we were trapped in the airplane. We were trapped looking for a gate for almost as long as we were in the air flying because, and it might be a union thing. I'm not 100% sure. They never explained, except it didn't work very well. It was a hostage situation, though. It was pretty crazy. I want to talk a little more about that later because it was something. Hey, welcome to Chicago. Now, eventually, we'll let you off the plane, but you know how that goes. It's the pleasures and joys of air travel. But it's not all about me, is it? And we're in Chicago. My best girl and I were in Chicago doing a big politics and a pint event tonight just outside of the city of Chicago with great Americans, because there are plenty of great Americans around here. It's the heartland. It's the heartland of America. And forget about the Venezuelan gangs for just a moment, because the city's looking beautiful. It really is. It's looking great. And Lake Michigan is wonderful. But again, I digress by the shiny object in front of me distracting me. Never mind that. The big Al Smith dinner in New York City, it's an annual event. It's a white tie event, not a black tie tuxedo event, but white tie and tails. You don't have a lot of those events anymore. Well, you never really did have a lot of them. Even when they had more of them, they didn't have a lot of them. But white tie and tails in New York City, Al Smith, and it's a Catholic thing, and it's a charity fundraiser. And the traditionally, when you have it in an election year, the both presidential candidates show up. It's tradition. It's been going on forever and ever. But Kamala, she didn't show up because why would she? Honestly, there were a lot of Democrats in the room, not just the Lizard King. There were other Democrats too, and the media people. They've got Kamala's back. They sent an unfunny video. It's supposed to be funny, And, even Hillary Clinton showed up, 2016. Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton were there, and, and it's a good thing. And President Trump, they're supposed to be funny. It's supposed to be good-natured and a little bit of friendly, ribbing. That's what they call it. I'm going like this with my finger. Ribbing back and forth. And normally, traditionally, historically, both presidential candidates show up and they do funny bits from the podium in their fancy duds with the men wear white tie and tails. And honestly, Kamala could have shown up in men's clothing too, because with today's Democrat Party, what's the difference? Honestly, and she could have shown up in white tie and tails. It would have been cute. It would have been funny. But she's not funny, and let's face it, she's not cutesy. So never mind that. But we've got a bunch of audio to share with you from the dinner last night. Jim Gaffigan is a comedian. He's a professional comedian, and he was there. They always hire a comedian, and then the candidates and other people stand up and take the podium, and they do funny bits. They do funny bits for a little while. And President Trump succeeded in doing that last night. And you know who, Kamala Harris, she did not. She failed once again. She failed. However, she doesn't have to do anything because the media does everything for her. That's when you're a Democrat, all you have to do is not crash your car off a bridge in Chappaquiddick and leave a woman to die there while you go to brunch, and everything will be fine because the media does your work for you. Here's one headline. Kamala Harris Fox News interview draws big ratings, trounces Trump town hall. See, that's trounces Trump town hall. He was doing a town hall with Univision, right? And pretty amazing stuff. And that's the media doing the Democrat Party's work for them, the gang of bootlicks that they are. And the Washington Post has the headline, Harris ought to send Bret Baier flowers for that Fox News interview. Fox News ought to send flowers. It's why, did somebody die? It's pretty amazing stuff. But they're suggesting that people send flowers after a nice date or something. Is that what they're, because, the Democrats. And it's not true. Kamala did terribly in the Bret Baier interview, and Bret Baier did just fine. But the corrupt media, an incredibly corrupt media, they just turn everything upside down, completely upside down, because that's their role in our society, to be corrupt. And yeah, Eugene Robinson at the Washington Post, who's a very corrupt individual, individually corrupt person. Amazing. Harris's combative interview with the Fox News anchor displayed her qualities and facts. That's what the Washington Post said. There were no facts gleaned. She didn't reveal anything about what she's going to do about anything. So Eugene Robinson is at it again, lying and misrepresenting. This is misinformation. If Hillary Clinton had her way, he might be up on charges at this point. Not just civil charges, but criminal charges as well, because that's what Hillary wants. And the Washington Post, they just loved it. Should send flowers. You don't bring me flowers. And the people at, it's Mediaite, but their Fox News interview draws big ratings, trounces Trump town hall. I'm not sure really that was the thing there, but never mind that. And also Kamala's people, they sent a video, which I made passing reference to, I believe. They sent a video, and Kamala appeared in the video, and she's supposed to be charming or something, but she wasn't. And they got this woman who used to be on Saturday Night Live a long time ago. Her name is Molly Shannon. Does anybody remember Molly Shannon? Raise your hand. She used to put her fingers in her armpits and then smell them. That was her big joke. Saturday Night Live, that's what she did the whole time. And that was pretty much it, I got to say. But they had this, and when did she leave? I think 20 years ago she left, maybe more than 20 years ago. She left Saturday Night Live, but she made a big comeback last night at the Al Smith dinner in New York. Not in person, but in a video that the Kamala Harris people put together. And it was not funny, and it was not clever, and it was kind of sad, actually. It really was. Pretty extraordinary stuff. So we've got a bit of everything for you on that front. But that's not all that's going on, because it's also International Pronouns Day. It's International Pronouns Day. Here's the Pride and Donuts. Pride and Donuts. They really need to get over their sexuality, I think. It would be nice for everyone, especially them, perhaps, if they got over their sexuality. But where is this? At the American University in Washington, D.C. Join the Center for Diversity and Inclusion, which then they have to put in parentheses, CDI, even though it's just amazing. CDI, everything has to be abbreviated. To celebrate International Pronoun Day. Pronoun Day. My pronouns are sir and master. Master, and that's about it. We will have pronoun pins, games, and CDI giveaways. They love giveaways, don't they? They love other people's stuff. To honor the day, this is what they're doing. They're going to give away pins, their pronoun pins, and they've got all this going on because they love pronouns. They don't know what pronouns are, but they love them. They want to have a lot of them, whatever they are. Pretty amazing stuff. It's International Pronouns Day, and the Democrats are celebrating pronouns. They don't know what gender is because of all the mental issues that they have, a great many mental issues. Extraordinary stuff.
My pronouns are she, her, and hers.
She, her, and her. Mine, too.
All right.
Mine, too. That's, that was Fredo. That was old Fredo Cuomo there. Mine, too, is pronouns she, her, and hers. Really remarkable stuff. We remain, even though I'm in Chicago, we remain at 888-630-9625. 888-630-9625 is the telephone number here. Very convenient for anyone to use. Absolutely free. It's toll-free. Remember toll-free numbers? Now, I think because of the patriarchy, all numbers are toll-free, aren't they? You're welcome, honestly. Well, let's see what else we can do for you before the end of the day. Pretty amazing stuff. But if I were in Washington, I might have to go over to the American University. I might have to go over to American University, not far from the mothership radio station in Washington, D.C., just to see how pronouns day now. But there's donuts, too, because, some of them want their pronoun to be chubby. Hey, chubby. It's, when did that happen? Oh, I went to Pronouns and Donuts Day, and a week later, look at me now, American University. Pronouns and donuts, because you got to have free stuff, a lot of free stuff. Yes, sir. So we've got that going for you, but that's not all. We've got a lot more, too, because the Democrats are still on the loose. And you know what that means, that there's a lot of crazy going on. And I do want to share with you stories about my best girl and I flying into Chicago yesterday, being trapped on the airplane for an hour before they'd let us go to a gate. And then we had a man drive us in. We didn't arrange it ahead of time. We went out in front of the airport and found someone to drive us into the city. And his name is Mohammed. Mohammed drove us into the city. And he had a few things to say. We had a nice back and forth. We were going back and forth and lots of stuff with Mohammed. It was kind of fun, kind of amusing. I learned a thing or two, no doubt about it. But I've got a lot of stories for you because there are a lot of news stories flying around that the Democrats have unleashed on all of us. They're really not on our side. Why did Kamala skip the Al Smith dinner? Why would she do that? Honestly, and why there was booing at the Al Smith dinner, which doesn't happen very often. But there was booing, and the comedian Jim Gaffigan, it's not like he's a Trump supporter. He had a couple of funny jokes about being there with, at the Trump, it wasn't the Trump dinner, but at the Al Smith dinner with Trump. There were some funny things there. Elon Musk is on the loose, and he's supporting President Trump. Mark Cuban is a left-wing radical extremist billionaire. He's a billionaire. He should be deported back to Cuba. Maybe they could use his help because he's got some ideas of his own. Remarkable things going on there. We're coming up on Election Day because, tick, 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 it's getting closer and closer. Got news out of Florida and Ron DeSantis for you. Lots and lots of news, and we continue to be at 888-630-9625.
That's it. Hold it right there. Pronoun trouble.
Coming to you live from the studios of WLS in Chicago. I sound like I was up all night or something. I wasn't. Well, I was up till 1 a.m. Actually at 1:30 Eastern time because I was up till midnight 30 here. And my best girl and I, when we finally got home from the airport, we did go find a place, get a little something to eat, and had a couple of beers and stayed up kind of late, but that's okay. I feel good. Everything's good, and I got an event tonight at the place. But enough about me. Let's go to the telephones. Let's talk to Jerry calling from, the Maryland-Pennsylvania border, the border of Pennsylvania and Maryland, on the Pennsylvania side, I believe. Geraldo, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Now, Chris, you can't walk around calling people chubby, because if you do that, they're going to have to get psychological help, and you'll get a lawsuit. So that's the first thing. You can't do that.
Probably
you know how
true.
These people are.
Yeah, that's the donut at Pronouns and Donuts, the Donuts and Pronouns Fest.
Well, they know what they can do with their pronouns. But the reason I'm calling, Chris, is they say that President Trump continues to call the country the enemy from within. Well, what would you call a bunch of people who had 2 phony impeachments, who have the media running around spreading lie after lie? You have a president who's not even there. He can't even talk. You got a vice president who's accomplished absolutely nothing and can't keep his name out of her mouth. You watch the Brett Baer interview, and you got people like that windbag Claire McCaskill. Well, she did a wonderful job. She didn't answer a single question. The only thing she could ever say is Trump, Trump, Trump. And here's my other problem, Chris. One other thing drives me up the wall. These people in Pennsylvania, Maryland, are running these commercials, running around lying. Every political ad the Democrats have run is a lie. They took my abortion rights. I can't get an abortion anymore. Chris, it's not illegal to get an abortion in Pennsylvania or Maryland or Massachusetts or any of these other states. As a matter of fact, the great one, Mark Levin, had a thing out saying that there's been more abortions since Roe versus Wade was overturned. How can this race be close, and how can these people get away with lie after lie after lie? It boggles the brain. And you got these young people out here who will vote for her. I don't get it.
Yeah, but you're right in everything you said, of course. And how do they get away with it? Is information dominance that I've been talking about for a long time, which is a military concept, an intelligence concept, and they have secured information dominance in the United States, and they know that a lie told once remains a lie told 1,000 times becomes the truth. That's a Joseph Goebbels line, and the Democrat Party has adopted it. There's no doubt about it. And yeah, of course, Mark Levin is 100% correct. They overturned Roe v. Wade in 2022 in the Supreme Court because it was always based on a bad law, on a bad case. And, I've known since college, told by one of my left-wing professors, that Roe v. Wade was based on shaky law and would eventually be overturned. And then in 2023, we had more than 1 million abortions in the United States, which is the highest number of abortions in more than a decade. And the Democrats just say more, because I don't think they like life.
Did I hear you correctly say that perhaps he was influenced by Goebbels?
Pronouns and donuts. Bom, 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 bom. Really, it's, that's the education system, our educational system, the United States of America, the university system, not what it used to be, not a classical education. I majored in pronouns and donuts. And I was like, well, yeah, it looks like it. I can see you've got pronouns and donuts written all over you. No, you didn't get the job. You're not hired. You should go back to your mom's basement. Please leave. Amazing stuff. Listen, let's go back to the telephones as well, because talking to the nice people is always a wonderful thing. And Jeff is on the phones today. Jasmine is not in today. But let's go to Ginger calling from St. Petersburg, Florida. Ginger, you're on the Chris Plant Show. And then Ginger just dropped off the line. She wanted to talk about pronouns, too, and transcend, because there are so many pronouns to talk about. How many pronouns are there? Anyway, well, that depends on how many genders you think there are. And when you're a Democrat, it's not easy being a Democrat with all the stuff going on in your brain and everything. But in San Francisco, if I remember correctly, there are 120 to 130 different genders that you can assign yourself. He, she, him, her. That's how many there really are. But when the mental illness kicks in, there can be up to 120 something when Democrats are in charge because they're very, very unwell and they're taking everything over. It's not just the pronouns and donuts that you see every place else. Pretty amazing stuff. Let's go back to the phones. Instead of going back to the phones and being in Chicago and a little bit of an unusual setup for today. Maybe I should do open lines Friday like Rush Limbaugh used to do, but there are stories to get to as well, and lots of audio to share with you. President Trump and Jim Gaffigan at the Al Smith dinner being front and center today, certainly. And the awful, horrible Kamala non-contribution to the big dinner in New York as well. I've got some of that, but you don't need much, so I won't bore you with too much of it. Let's go to Bill calling from Wilmington, North Carolina. Bill, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Good morning, Chris. Hey, this pertains to gun owning. With Kamala owning a Glock, usually a person that has any type of gun, they usually give the caliber, gauge,
right,
whatnot.
Yep.
And the thing that I was wondering is if she really does have a Glock. If she does, it should be registered. And I don't know if there's any way to fact check this because hey, I'm not capable of doing that. With Kamala's situation. But I was just wondering if it's not registered, does she really own a Glock? If she does have a Glock, isn't that against the law of not being registered?
You're 100% right. She lives in the District of Columbia in the vice president's residence on the grounds of the U.S. Naval Observatory, where the official timekeepers for the United States of America, along with the atomic clock in Colorado. But you're 100% right. I live in Washington, D.C., and I am a fan of the Second Amendment, and I own firearms, and I own now. Let me ask you this before I go any further, because you got me thinking, and you're 100% right. If I'm going to have to see if I can find somebody in the district government or the D.C. Police Department to check to see if she is in fact a registered gun owner, because if she owns a firearm that she brought into the District of Columbia, and by the way, she was a member of the U.S. Senate before becoming vice president. Amazingly, we live in an absurd time, and she was elected to the U.S. Senate from California based on nothing, and a bunch of racists out there elected her. Amazing stuff. But did she have it registered when she was in the Senate? And does she own an illegal gun in the vice president's residence? And should the FBI launch a pre-dawn raid with rifles and body armor and helmets and helmet cams and dogs and things and a CNN camera crew in tow to go raid the vice president's residence for the illegal gun? Because not only do you have to be registered, but each and every firearm you own in Washington, D.C., Bill, you have to go get it looks like a driver's license. It has your photo on it and all your information like a driver's license would. Same size, hard plastic, laminated, your photograph on it for each and every firearm. You don't have to have one for all your firearms. You have to have a different one for each firearm. And if she doesn't have this card, then the gun is an illegal gun. And I got to tell you, Bill, I don't even know if I've talked about this on the radio, but you're 100% right. I've said to multiple people, I've said, normally when you say, "Oh, you have a gun," and you're right, as you said normally you say I have a Glock, but you wouldn't just say you have a Glock. What would you say, Bill?
Oh, I got a 45 caliber Glock.
Right. I'd say I've got a Glock 20. You give the caliber
first. You give the caliber.
Yeah, and I've got and you might even say, if you're talking to somebody who's a firearms owner, you might say, I've got a Glock 21, it's a 45 caliber. I've got a Glock 19, it's a 9 millimeter. I've got a Walther P99, also a 9 millimeter. I've got a Mossberg. And you're absolutely right. And I've observed this out loud to other people, but perhaps not on the radio. And if you own one Glock, one firearm, and somebody says, "Do you own a gun?" Say, "Yeah," and you say, "What kind of gun?" You're absolutely right. You'd say, "I've got a 9 millimeter Glock," or a Glock 19, because you figure maybe they know their Glocks, and and you want, I've got a Glock 17, which is very similar to the Glock 19. It's but you're absolutely right. So when she said that, it struck you, Bill, that she sounded like a phony gun owner. Is that right?
That is 100% correct.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Absolutely right.
If the FBI goes to raid her home, they better watch. She's going to be shooting them if they come into her house.
She could, we've seen this before. And then if she shoots at the FBI, she'd become the hero of the story because that's the Democrat thing. Now, do you own multiple firearms yourself?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Everywhere from handguns to shotguns to rifles to inlines to muzzle loaders. I'm an avid hunter.
You own firearms. And your observation is 100% correct, and I agree with you completely, that normally when you ask someone, do you own a gun? Oh, yes, I do. What kind of gun do you own? You're absolutely right. You wouldn't just give the manufacturer you've got a car. I own a Chevy. No, I've got a Corvette. And you're absolutely right. When it rang hollow. It seemed fake, and I agree with you 100% that when we heard that, and I'm glad you brought it up because I should have brought it up myself, and I didn't. But you're 100%, and I have mentioned it at over beers. Said, wouldn't you normally say, I've got a 9mm and it's a 19, the kind of mini version of the 17. And if you're talking to someone who's a gun owner, they know exactly what you're talking about. And that's how conversations go among gun owners, right?
That is correct.
Yeah, pretty amazing. We're lied to about things large and small. Like the FBI lying to us about the crime statistics, telling us that in 2022 the crime was down 2.1%, when in reality crime was up 4.5%, and they lied to us again. And then you ask Kamala a question, she gives you a lie. I'm beginning to think the Democrats are not the most honest people.
Well, it goes with Tim Walz also. With him not being able to load a shotgun, that's pretty simple, in my opinion, if you're a gun owner, on how to load a shotgun from underneath with a pump. With a hinge action where you just drop the shells in. They're actually pretty simple. With him not being able to, I kind of wonder if he even has guns himself.
Yeah, he said that shotgun was his and that he bought it when he was shooting a lot of trap, I think he said. And then he proved that was a lie, too. Just like his going to Iraq was a lie, like his being the coach of the high school football team was a lie, like so many things. And here's the thing, Bill. We've got a news media that could care less about any of it because of Trump derangement syndrome.
There's plenty of that going on out there.
There sure is. Bill, great stuff. I'm glad you called in. I'm glad you brought it up because I had, again, over beers, I had mentioned it, and I don't think that I ever talked about it on the radio. So I'm glad that you brought it up so we could talk about it on the radio. They lie to us about the unemployment numbers. They lied to us about the economic numbers, about the inflation numbers. They lie to us constantly. Again, it's like the Russian author, Elena Gorokova, and her book, A Mountain of Crumbs, about the horrors of the Soviet Union, where she said the rules are simple. They lied to us. We know they're lying to us. They know we know they're lying to us. And all of that is true in Washington and in America with the Democrats and our government and the bureaucracy. We know they're lying to us. They know we know they're lying to us. Yet they keep lying to us, and we keep pretending to believe them. And that's where we are. That is, Elena Gorokova wrote about the Soviet Union, and we are, because the left is here. These are not liberals. This is the left. And they're closer to being the Soviet Union than they are to being John F. Kennedy, who was a Democrat and president of the United States, who, of course, was shot in the head and killed by a communist or the deep state, one or the other. Just amazing stuff. We're lied to all the time. And then we have our news media, which is guiltier than the Soviet news media ever was with TASS and Izvestia and Pravda. You know, they had a gun to their heads when they were lying to the people of Russia and to the people of the world. The American news media is free to tell the truth, but they choose to lie. And they do this as individuals and as groups. They do it as individuals and as collectives. And the corporate masters also that are behind these organizations, the Jeff Bezos and these fantastically, unbelievably wealthy people that own, and the people, you know, this Elon Musk bought Twitter, and they lost their minds because, you know, that was one of their tools, one of the tools they had in their shed. Amazing stuff. Bill, thank you for the call. I'm again in Chicago, and a little out of the ordinary for me, and traveling until late last night, and I want to save some of that, but amazing stuff. You know, Elon Musk is out there and campaigning. He's a Trump guy now, which is kind of amazing to everyone involved, I think. And Elon Musk is campaigning for President Trump, and he is concerned about the state of the United States of America. He's an immigrant from South Africa, and he's an African-American. Democrats hate that, but, you know, who cares what Democrats hate? They hate everything and everyone, so it doesn't really matter very much. But Elon Musk is out there, and he's campaigning for Trump. And he's also speaking up because he bought Twitter. He saw that the left in the United States, the Democrat Party, and our corrupt news media were trampling free speech in America. And he was agog and couldn't believe it. And because he's earned so much money by creating miracles all over the place, he was able to buy the entire operation and take it away from the Democrats, one of the arrows in their quiver. And just amazing stuff. Now, Elon Musk, headline in the Wall Street Journal today, on the campaign trail with Elon Musk, they love their colons, offering young men an American dream. Well, you know, the Democrats are destroying the American dream because they are the left. They're not liberals. Again, I've talked about this before, and I say it because it's true. Again, John F. Kennedy, President of the United States until November of 1963, a Democrat, a World War II veteran, a Navy veteran, from a very wealthy, affluent family, of course, and his father was, a bootlegger and all that stuff. But setting that aside, John F. Kennedy today would not be allowed in the Democrat Party. He would be kicked out of the Democrat Party with extreme prejudice. And I've said that the Democrat Party today is closer on the political spectrum to Lee Harvey Oswald than they are to John F. Kennedy. I'm closer to where John F. Kennedy was than Barack Obama is. I'm much closer to where John F. Kennedy was on the political spectrum than Barack Obama. And Kamala Harris, forget about it. She doesn't know what a political spectrum is. And Joe Biden doesn't know what a spectrum is. He doesn't know anything anymore. His brain is so broke. But the Democrat Party today, closer on the political spectrum to Lee Harvey Oswald than to John F. Kennedy. And with their love of Hamas and Iran and Hezbollah and everything else, I've got an update for you on that, too. One of the kingpin terrorists being killed by the Israelis over the objections of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris because they're not on our side. Then they tried to jump in and take credit for it. Kind of amazing stuff. And the Democrat Party is also closer on the political spectrum to Sirhan than they are to Bobby Kennedy. These are amazing times. But I got some Elon Musk for you coming up today as well. And we continue to be at 888-630-9625. All right, we've got the Battle of the Billionaires. I've got Elon Musk for you and Mark Cuban. Elon Musk, an immigrant to the United States, loves America, loves free speech, recognizes that our rights are under assault because the left is coming for your rights. And I want to share some of Elon Musk with you and a bit of Mark Cuban, but not too much because he annoys me. But remarkable things. We have people calling in about guns and firearms and all the lies we're being told about that by these various people, by Tim Walz, who didn't go to Iraq, who wasn't the head coach, all kinds of things. Probably wasn't his shotgun, and our filthy news media. But right now, let's go to Bob, calling from Pasadena, Maryland. Oh, Bob, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hi, Chris.
Hey, Bob.
The other day when he was pheasant hunting, he was trying to load that semi-automatic shotgun, and he said he bought it while he was doing a lot of trap shooting. Nobody trap shoots with a semi-auto. It's over and under, and there's even single-shot trap. No one does it with a semi-auto shotgun.
Pheasant hunting.
Yeah. Well, no, the trap shooting. He said he purchased this semi-auto Beretta that he was trying to fumble and load while he was doing a lot of trap shooting, I guess, in the past when he was dealing with boys in high school. I guess that was when he bought the shotgun. I don't know.
Yeah, another story that still, the news media has kicked to the curb. You're right about that. So you are an experienced shooter.
No, I've been around guns my whole life, and I've done a little bit of everything with it, black powder, everything, speed shooting with pistols, all of that stuff. And I've been around trap a little bit, and I know that you do not trap shoot with a semi-auto shotgun.
Well, also, they were pheasant hunting, and at the end of the hunt with a group of men, there was not one pheasant. Nobody killed one. He didn't take a shot all day, and nobody in his group shot a single pheasant. And the news media didn't find any of that curious at all either. Right.
Nothing but lies from all these people.
I mean, and if you're going to lie about the little things, we've all known people in our lifetimes who were not truth tellers, who lied. And if you know somebody that lies about the little things, then and irrelevant things where the truth would do just as well, then you know that these people are untrustworthy. Because if you lie about irrelevant things, then you lie about things that matter too, right? And you shouldn't believe people that lie about everything, and you certainly shouldn't elect them to high office. Am I right, Bob? Bob went away. That's exactly right. Don't believe liars. And if they lie about little things, they lie about everything.